Our ruler, the Tlatoani, warned us of our fate. We must pay the gods to delay the apocalypse.
We've sat down with Martin outside of the I think it's the gold-filled room here at the Paradox Convention. It's full of gold and stuff. Europa Universalis IV is getting, I don't know what number of expansion it is yet, but it's been quite a few now. Is it fourth or third?
The fourth major expansion. It's the fifth expansion if you include Respublica, but Respublica is kind of a mini expansion, so we either call it the fifth or the fourth, depending on how you count.
And of course the name sort of gives away a little bit what it's about. It's a pretty big suite of things that you're bringing in with El Dorado, though, and some of it random, some of it very specific to El Dorado. Let's begin at that, because I think it's fascinating with South America and the new religions and the natives that you're bringing in there, and all the mechanics that you're bringing in. When you obviously this has been on your to-do list, but when you got to this, what was the main things that you wanted to include?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing that we wanted to include was actually the sort of unique religions that existed in Meso and South America, because representing them as sort of generic pagans isn't really all that accurate. I mean, they had their own very interesting beliefs about like cycles and the end of the world, and that whole human sacrifice. You mentioned that the room is full of gold. Yeah. I think it might as well be full of human hearts. A little bit of both, maybe. But yeah, so that's probably the single biggest thing we wanted to have. We wanted to have the Aztecs, we wanted to have the Incas and their sort of practice of worshipping mummies. And we wanted, the Mayas and their own Mayan calendar, and yeah. And I feel we got that in, and I feel it's pretty damn good.
I think one of the interesting things for me as a gamer, because of course there's the historical significance. These powers were kind of, well, they didn't stand a chance against the invaders when they came around, but you have sort of incorporated sort of a means to make them, you can, if you're very skilled, make them powerful in the end.
Yeah, we have a system that we call religious reforms, and that's the idea that, yeah, they had these things which held them back, but if you really, really struggle, you can reform your religion and your society and be ready when the Spanish come with their steel and the germs and all that stuff. So if you're like the Aztecs, you just have to keep, clawing your way through the cycles and expanding and making your state more centralized. And when they arrive, you'll be able to just reform your society, and you can take on their firearms and be ready for them.
It's a very, very interesting thing, and of course that sort of comes into the other big part of the expansion that brings the randomness to it. It's really opening the game up, if you will, to sort of be creative, but also to have scenarios that would never happen in real life, but that could be equally interesting to play.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about when you talk about random, you talk about the nation designer?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so the nation designer, and which lets you make your entire whole own nation. And in addition to making your entire whole own nation, you can also set that the world will be randomly generated that you play in. It's not the historical world. You have like Brazil in Italy, and you have all these weird countries appearing, and it's just completely different history. So if you're the historical, it's interesting. It's a lot of what our games are built on, but sometimes you kind of want to try something a bit different, and this is really what we put in. That people thought, what if I did this? Or what if this state existed? What if Vinland was real? That's the main thing you can make in the nation designer. Yeah. What if Vinland was real and the rest of history took a completely different course? So that's, and that is sort of what we've included, and I think it has a lot of replayability and a lot of fun to the game.
And yes, I mean, just imagine that for multiplayer it's gonna make it so that people who've played a lot of multiplayer can sort of look at it with brand new eyes. It's going to change that scene completely.
Absolutely. We actually played a bit of it ourselves the other day, because we have played a lot of multiplayer. We play a lot of EU4 multiplayer at the office. It's part of what we do, and it's a lot of fun. And we played with the random nations and the nation designer for the first time, and it was just a complete blast. Everyone loved it.
And I guess it also because you get into this maybe you choose the same countries, or you have a few different countries that you select. This sort of throws that all on its head, and those those alliances, if you play with the same people, which I'm sure you do in the office, you sort of, the alliances are forged and broken, but now it sort of creates maybe different things that you would never do otherwise.
I mean, absolutely. It's gonna very much to change because everyone will sort of have their own favorite new thing to try, and there's a lot of new different strategies. And because we have this whole point system, everyone's kind of on an equal footing. So it's a lot about who can design the smartest nation, not just from the perspective like ideas and provinces, but also what position you're putting yourself in. Where are you? Who's around you? There's a lot of like strategic thinking that goes into that, and it's completely gonna shake up whatever old alliances and old strategies you have. I'll always play France. I'll just dominate Europe. Yeah, but I'm playing Carthage. Now what do you do?
I think it's beautiful that point system. I'm trying to wrap my head around it. I looked at it. It's very, very complex, but I think it's very smart design because it sort of forces players. If you wanna have a big nation, you have to be sort of balanced, because otherwise you won't afford. So if you want, it's very interesting means to balance it, and I'm sure it took a long time to sort of figure out exactly how to do that. But what you say is also interesting, because I guess the provinces don't really, do they have unique values, or is it just the number of provinces that is factored in?
It's based on basically the value of the province, because each province has like base tax and manpower, and that will be the base cost. So it's how much you get out of it. But there's also like special provinces, like the gold mines or the big copper mine in Sweden that cost more because they're also special, and Constantinople because of its importance to trade. So it's very much a matter of how much value are you taking, not just how many provinces, because you know a piece of Siberian wasteland is not Rome.
But maybe you want to circle that valuable province before you start, so you can just take them out in the beginning there.
Yeah, you can totally do that. You can be kind of a jerk. That's kind of what we encourage.
That is great to hear. So obviously you worked on this game now for a while, and can you just, what is it like to sort of be able to sort of continue to work on a game like you are? I mean, I can't imagine that there's an end date to when you'll, I mean, there is, of course, but you're not seeing that quite yet.
Yeah. For me, it's a lot of fun. I mean, I played EU3 before I played EU4 for a very, very long time. I loved EU4 when we made it. I loved EU4 when it came out. But there's always sort of these ideas you have. It's like, what if we do this with diplomacy? Or what if we added a whole new dimension to religion? What if we added all these amazing things to the Holy Roman Empire? I mean, it's such a big and complex game with so many moving parts. You sort of never run out of ideas. It's more just a matter of finding the time and the ways to implement those ideas in a way that works with the game. So yeah, I'd say it's a lot of fun. I love working on EU. I love working on EU expansions, and I can't see myself growing tired of them for quite a while.
So El Dorado will be the first one of 2015, coming out February 26th, I believe. But we're surely going to get some more later on.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that, yes.
All right. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Maybe then the gods will listen.